Welcome to your Mamamoon Podcast, with interviews and tips from real life for your pregnancy journey from belly to baby.
We are Tessa and Nina, and we are passionate about motherhood. Our goal is to give you tools towards a beautiful and empowering experience during labor and a smooth entry into life as a mom. Hello. So, welcome to Mamamoon Podcast, and we are very, very, very excited because today we have on our podcast Ombretta Dettori, who's been busy with so many topics that are close to our hearts when it comes to Mamamoon and pregnancy and birth and postpartum, that it was really hard for us to choose what are we going to talk today about. So Ombretta is an ayurvedic practitioner. She's focusing on women's health, on pregnancy, labor and postpartum. She's also a doula. A labor and a birth and a postpartum doula. She's also a yoga therapist, a yoga teacher. So like I said, loads of stuff. And we love it because that's just also what Mamamoon is about. It's about the whole journey from belly to baby. And she's just in every piece today to make sure that we are not keeping you on this podcast for like a week. We decided to focus and we'll talk to her a little bit about doula. So before we start, if you can just introduce yourself a little bit to us.
Thank you very much, Kasia and Nina, for having me here today. I'm really, really happy and excited. And well, partially because, it's, I believe the first time I find myself talking about being a doula and the work that we do as doulas. But as you said, so I was born a psychologist. That's my background. That's what I studied at university, and I've been working for several years in HR, and that was when I was back in Italy. As you may notice, I'm Italian, and I moved to Amsterdam beginning 2013, and that's when my life basically changed completely, and I started a new journey into yoga, Ayurveda. And in I think 2018, I started my education to become a doula, working with women, start having a completely different meaning for me. And it was very, very special to start this journey. And I'm really happy to share it with you today, what I can. Again, my angle on who a doula is. Thank you again.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ombretta. It's so cool to have you. And there's so much experience in you that, definitely we'll have to plan a few more episodes with you to have you come back to talk about Ayurveda and then talk about yoga therapy and all the other things that you do. But let's focus on the doula a bit for now. So when we talk about doulas, I think depending a little bit also in which country our audience is, people know more or less what a doula is, or they don't know at all and have never heard about it. Can you help us understand a little bit? What is a doula? Who is a doula? And when we are looking for one, what should we look out for to find the right one?
Wow, that's already quite a complex question. I try to break it down for you, if I can, to make it kind of simple and maybe a little bit down to earth. Because if you look at the meaning of the word doula, it just says to you that we are at service. So basically, we are a birth companion. So somebody that supports you in a way which is nourishing, comforting, but also empowering. And it says a lot and it says nothing. But first of all, you have doula that works, that are called birth doulas, and they support you, let's say, during pregnancy using different tools, and during labor, and partially during the postpartum time. Then you have postpartum doulas, which work more to allow you to have a better experience and a faster recovery during your immediate postpartum. Let's say up to 6 weeks, and sometimes even longer. There is no really an expiry date to what the postpartum period is. And there are also doulas that are specialized in supporting women that and couples and families that undergoes loss. So they work more to help you to go through grief. And that's something different, but it's something that sometimes we meet in our work. To focus more practically on birth doulas, we help you physically, emotionally, and we give information when you ask for them. So when I say physically, think about massage, comforting touch, rebozo techniques, or counter pressures during labor. But think also about fears, doubts, concerns that you may go through already during pregnancy and during postpartum. Think about needing to receive some information about, okay, what a water birth can imply, or what if I choose to receive a pain relief? What kind of pain relief are there available? Or let's talk about, I don't know, how should I, and now I say should I, actually there is no should, because each experience is different. And that's also what we try to help women to understand, to understand that there is not right or wrong. So the approach is very not judgmental. It's more what works for you. What is it that you want? It's like having, in a way, an older sister that doesn't give you advices, which is weird, but basically helps you to find your voice in a way. And it's also connected, I believe, to what you really need, because it's a relationship. So it's about what we do, but mostly it's about what we are and how can we support you. So I think when you look for a doula, first of all, you should ask yourself, what is it that I need actually? And is this person able to listen to my needs and to help me to express them, to find ways for me to express them? Yeah, I don't know if it's clear enough or...
It is actually. I think it's, I mean, from what you say, it sounds a little bit like you help people go through the whole process, a little bit hand holding, very personal process, which then, yeah, it totally makes sense that you need to have a click with a person that's with you on this journey.
Yeah.
So would you then advise that when you're looking for a doula, for example, that you meet that person before and have a chat?
Yeah, I think you nail it. It's a very, very personal relationship. It's so intimate because you are inviting somebody to be part of a journey that it's transformational, and it's your own journey. So I definitely advise to meet a couple of doulas and see if there is a click. And next to that, of course, also check a little bit what's the experience is. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it later. But yeah, I think the gut feeling is so important. So important to trust.
And you mentioned so doulas for birth, pregnancy, also doulas for postpartum. How do you become a doula?
Oh, Me personally, no. And in general, yeah, there are trainings. There are trainings that are, well, different kind of trainings. They give you a strong base when it comes to theory. It's of course we are not medical trained, and that's important to underline, because again, the kind of support that you receive and the kind of knowledge we carry on with us is not medical knowledge. We are, of course, made aware, and we learn what the physiology of birth and postpartum is. But that's for us to better serve you and understand that process, and perhaps explain to you in different ways. So there is a part of the training that is connected to coaching skills, that is connecting to more psychological aspects, because our support is pretty much connected to emotions. There is a part of the training that is connected to understanding the medical system, and there are internship. You have the chance to be at direct contact with midwives in hospital settings, outside the hospital. So it's quite a long process. It's a very transformational, it's very deep, and it's really beautiful.
Super complex. It's I can imagine it's a very fulfilling and still also very complex role, because you have to navigate so many people and settings around you, right, in such a delicate situation as well. Yeah. So if we think about birth doulas, let's stay with that for a moment. So is a doula someone who I choose before I go into labor, and then she's with me during labor only, or is a doula already somebody who supports me as a pregnant woman in during labor, during pregnancy, or when does it start? When do I really start to interact with my doula angel person?
I like that. I like the doula angel. So, well, ideally, I would say the moment you are halfway your pregnancy, let's say second trimester, it's already a good moment to start looking around and think about a birth doula. And that's because the support starts already since the beginning. So the moment you pick up us, we are there for you, which means that you can call your doula when when you wake up one morning and you feel like, oh my God, I have this pain that is killing me, and you think like, okay, what shall I do? And sometimes the doula can just give you an advice in terms of, well, there are a few doors. You may think about, I don't know, having a massage, or maybe an osteopath, or maybe maybe it's just stress, just rest. What are you doing today? And just helping you think about it, or just you feel a little bit of discomfort or doubt, or you're just happy and there is something that you just want to share. But next to this kind of support, which is informal, you have a support that it's a little bit more formal and planned. So we have prenatal visits. Some of those visits are now they are held online. Some are held in person. Again, when I say now, it's because of the specific situation we are in. So we are very receptive when it comes to mama's wishes in this fragile time. So during this prenatal sessions, we discuss several topics. We go through your fears. And again, we go through the pregnancy to understand how it's going on. We go through specific techniques. The topic is actually shared, and you decide together, again, what is it that I need in terms of support. The partner is most of the time involved because he is, again, part of the team. And it's very, very important for us to make him feel really an active presence if he wished to be so, and also understand what his doubts are. That's a very.
Are you teaching them any practices?
Yeah, we also do that. Again, it's very personal. There are some dads that feel like backing off a little bit, and some others that are very, very happy to go through several techniques to learn some massage. And I think we are very, very happy to meet.
Edibles or shaking apples.
Absolutely, and some like to receive it as well, I have to say.
Yeah, we will explain in another podcast what I mean by that.
Yeah, definitely. And then we are on call, like from 2 weeks before birth. So it's a very, very long, let's say, preparation. But there are also moms that comes to us at very last minute. You know, you just realize at some point that you might need an extra help, and it's still possible.
And so you mentioned when we are choosing for having a doula, you mentioned about having a connection, a click, having that understanding with the person. Are there any services and activities that you would say, like, if you, let's say, if you don't know any doula, if you don't have any recommendation, if you simply, you know, go on Google and type doula Amsterdam, doula Germany, doula Madrid. What is there anything that you would say, like, I don't know, those are really great techniques, it would be good, you know, it's very supportive from what you've seen, that if a doula can share that kind of practice during birth with a mom, or I think you mentioned rebozo technique, so those kind of elements, if you can.
Yeah, well, here is the thing. When it comes to trainings here in the Netherlands, but also abroad, they are pretty much aligned. So if you think about what a doula on average learn in those trainings, yeah, I think you can really trust that the way they are trained and prepared, it's pretty much uniform in a way. That's because there are standards that we are asked to meet. But it's also true that each doula offers the services in packages. So maybe what you want to look into is, what is it that this package actually has inside? And you then find out that there are differences. You may find doulas that offer only prenatal visit. And you may find some of them that put here and there some massage that you may feel like, oh, that actually wouldn't be so bad to treat myself with some of them. Or some others, as you mentioned, offer specific and different services that may not come directly from, that are a little bit out of a scope of practice of a doula. But that can definitely work very well together. So it comes a little bit more on the nutrition, perhaps, or some doulas offer some aromatherapy or homeopathic remedies or ayurvedic ones, or relaxation techniques. Some works a little bit more with the yoga. So it's really, really up to, again, get back to what you need. What you like, what you feel more inclined to, you know. At least that would be my advice. And yes, of
Mm.
course, check trainings and ask for previous experiences. If you know that you want to give birth in a hospital, well, check the doula. See, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying to challenge her, but check out how she could work in that environment, you know?
Ask some questions. She's going to be
Yeah,
with you in the
yeah,
most
don't
intimate
lie.
moments of your life. You're entitled to a few questions, I would say.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Ask your question. And that's what I think is even more important is that when you work together with the doula expects you to be yourself. And when you are, above all, at birth, but also during postpartum, we really see you in all your shades. So it's just be open. And that's what we wish and for you.
Sounds like such a comforting thing and such a comforting person to have around you during pregnancy and during birth. It sounds like everybody should have a doula. Absolutely. That makes me wonder: are there any services of doulas, whether birth or postpartum, also that are also covered by insurance? Because I think that the midwives and the doctors, the aftercare, or a lot of those things are covered by insurances. How does that work with doula services?
Yeah, that's unlikely to happen. I know, and it's it's unlikely that your insurance really cover the doula service, birth and postpartum. Though that's also the reason why talking with a doula very transparently also about what your economical situation and possibility actually are. It's very, very important because there is most of the time way talking about your options to find also creative ways to collect money yourself. Think about baby showers, and maybe you can ask a little bit of support from, of course, people around you, but think also about asking for payment plans. Just if it's really something that you wish for yourself to wish to have, just let's find a way.
I would love it if people were starting to give useful gifts for baby showers. Why not, for Christ's sake, pitch in for a doula that really helps, instead of giving moms the 100th body and the 20th freaking pink or blue balloon or cake or what? Sorry. Oh, that is such a good idea. I think we need to talk about that more.
Yeah. Useful baby presents. I fully agree. I mean, now having also 2 kids, there's so much. I cannot find a nice word for it. So much stuff in my house. Yeah. But when we were talking, you mentioned we mentioned the partner, we mentioned the midwife, we mentioned hospital staff. How are the dynamics in between all? Let's say, how does the role of a doula fit in the whole birthing team? And also depending whether you are in a hospital or in a birthing center or at home.
Yeah, sure. Well, the roles are very, very different. We are all there to support the mom and to support the birthing couple in a way. But let's say the midwife, as I assume you all know, has a very important role in preserving and supporting the safety of the baby, of the mom. So it's your, I would say, medical companion. And I'm not saying it doesn't give emotional support in that moment. But the focus is, I would say, mainly medical. And again, mainly, but not only. Mm.
Mm.
While the doula put a focus on everything which is not medical. So on one end, again, remembering you and not allowing you to forget that you can make it. That even if there are moments where you feel a little bit disempowered or discouraged, well, I mean, we got there. We are gonna get out of this.
Yeah, I'm leaving this party. I'm going. I'm not doing it anymore.
Exactly.
Moments, right?
That's
Yeah,
one of the sentences that I always feel like, oh no, I cannot make it. I cannot do it. I guess we are gonna
doing
make
it.
Yes. No, but it's very true that it's a very, very complex dynamic over there. There are lots of emotions coming in. There is the partner, and sometimes, I also work with single moms, so it's again, there is a layer of complexity over there. But if the partner is there, what about his own emotions? What about taking care and being sure that he has a space to express them, but that also is able to stay connected. And sometimes just that he knows what he should be doing, or just even if he doesn't know, just knowing that it's okay. And again, he has somebody next to him that again can support, on encourage, or just give him a break if he just wants to go out and breathe a bit. So very, very, very different, very different role in a dynamic which is very dense. Usually, the doula comes to you the moment you call her, and it stays there. It stays with you all the time. This is one of the main differences. So let's say that you are not yet in active labor. You're still at home. But you feel that anyhow you want to have somebody next to you, together with your husband, or maybe you just want him to sleep, but you don't want to be alone. Then you can already call me doula. Or that those are some of the differences. Very, very practical. I will never suggest you any kind of medical intervention, because this is not my place, while the midwife will do that. In that situation, my role, I feel, is to help you if you have doubts, or if you need to ask for more information, and always checking in with you if you feel that it's right. Sometimes we just need a little bit more time to metabolize some information. And this is also part of what we do. Give a little bit more time, bring the pressure down. It feels like, okay, it's still okay. It's still fine.
Yeah, I can imagine that there's so many things that can happen and goes through your head when you're in labor, and suggestions and let's say opinions left and right, that it's good to have someone who kind of keeps you also straight with what it is that you wanted to, right? Because that's also the work that you've been doing before, that you had those check-ins, you discuss what you want, what you don't want, or at least that you wish or you would not wish for, and that you are reminded as a mom in labor, oh yeah, this is why I was doing it, this is why I was going for it, and then having that support. And I think also what you mentioned about the partners, I remember my Robin feeling very relieved when he heard that he doesn't have to be alone. So that was that's I think maybe and he was not the exception, because when I also spoke with some other couples where they were discussing also having a doula with them, usually actually the partners were like, that's so good. like the pressure is a little bit up. Because it's it's a bit of course, some of them, if they come with previous experience of having kids, sure, then they have the experience of being at birth. But very often, if this is, let's say, though, most of the time, or the other half, is that you are, both of you are for the first time at birth. So it's not like you have a comparison that you can relate to the history, the examples that you can relate to. So I think having that experience, or a person with you who feels 150% responsible for you from the beginning till the end, that's also what makes a difference.
Yeah.
And it's also somebody who has a bit of experience, right? I mean, the partner, most of the time it's their first, or oftentimes it's their first or their second. Even then, they're not experienced birth helpers. And the feeling of having somebody extra in your corner, I think that must be so, it must feel like such an emotional support to just know there's somebody backing you up or helping you, supporting you with whatever you need, right?
I think it's very, very important. And that sometimes, because the focus is, of course, likely so on the mom and on the woman's experience and on the baby, we sort of forget a little bit the pressure that also the partners actually have. And it's really connected to being suddenly brought in a situation that they have really no idea how it looks like, how they can. And even if there is this awareness, it's being there with somebody you love, you care for, which is undergoing a process that you start realizing is not easy. And one of the things that I hear more sharing from partners is really like, wow, I felt there was nothing that I could do. And that's because the emotions become so heightened over there, and you see your wife or your partner or whatever is there, and you think, this is my baby, and what's going on here, and I don't understand. It's just like, and it's not an exception. That's also the thing. And it's not that I don't think that partners in general should expect too much from themselves, even though they go through lots of preparation before. Is still being on scene for the first time. It's going to show up in the moment, and sometimes it's just a bit overwhelming, and it's okay. It's normal. And in those moments, just knowing that even if there are decisions that are difficult to make, because sometimes they are doing that, and they are offering what they can. They are not alone, not only because there is a doula there, but because there is a whole system there to support them. And I think it's something that I really, really, really wish we can understand more and more. As you both mentioned before, there is such a dense dynamic around birth. And I think that we all need to remember that we are all there for a reason. And we are all there to serve in different ways, to make the experience positive, because that's what we want. I think all of us wants to bring positive experience. We want to build up memories that are empowering, and we want to build up moments that are worth to be remembered. I think
it's almost like this should be the end of the podcast, but we still have a few more questions to go. So it's just such a good ending sentence. You should say that again in a minute. But
I'll try.
So, you said that there is this super dense dynamic during birth, right? And there are so many people involved, and I feel it is the same, maybe a little less condensed to one moment, but stretched over time. It is the same density and the same dynamics that you have during postpartum as well. There's partners, and all of a sudden there is this new baby. People have to find their new roles. The tired, the body is tired. Everybody has to sort of settle in. Moms and dads are all of the, or mothers-in-law, and all of them are also already sort of being added to the equation. So when we think about postpartum, what's the role of a doula in that? What's the support that a doula would offer? What's the service a doula would offer, and how does that connect to all of the other people sort of gravitating around mom and the new baby?
Yeah, you put it so beautifully, because that's where the dynamics become even more dense. And for me, it's a very, very, I feel very much connected to that moment, even more than to birth, because birth is a peak. It's a peak moment. And it seems that we all make ourselves ready for that moment, that for as much as it's important and as much as it's memorable, it's a moment. It's a breathe. If you think about it, it's like a breath. You're taking a breath. And then the wave goes down. And there are a few things that happen. So, well, luckily here in the Netherlands, we have a beautiful service, which is the one which is gave by the Kramzorg. So you already know, wow, for the first 10 days, there is somebody else taking care of me and my family, and handing, an extra hand. And I would say extra hands are needed during postpartum. There is so much going on. And hormones, sure. But another thing that happens is at some point, like it seems that the lights just go off and suddenly you feel like, okay, so now it's me. There is this little one here, funny face. I think I know you, but what's actually going on here? So you need to get a little bit into a rhythm. There are things that happen, they are very unexpected. There is a physical discomfort that sometimes you feel like, well, there's already 10 days, it's not gone. What's going on? Sleeping, that's not going to happen. And what about a shower sometimes? So there are so many things. Some mothers are really, really, I think, lucky to have some support that comes from parents, mothers, sisters, friends, and mothers-in-law that find ways to do what in the past used to be done. So create a net of support for the woman and for the family as well. It's less and less like this, and it's part of our culture, it's part of the way we live life. But what a doula does, it kind of step in to fill a void. So also in postpartum, you find certain differences. So there are what I would define as traditional postpartum doulas and postpartum caregivers. So there is a slight difference, because the second ones also receive a training so that if there are conditions that are quite, let's say, normal or likely to happen during postpartum, they can observe them, safely treat them, so understand when it's safe to treat them and when it's the case to refer you to a specialist. And it goes for more emotional conditions. So I think about anxiety and postpartum depression, or I think about a mastitis, or I think about and uterine prolapse. So this
Is it only for the mom or also for the baby?
There is a care also for the baby. There is an observing in a more critical way also what's going on for the baby.
Okay.
When it comes to the more traditional postpartum, this part is less developed, let's say. So, but all the rest is still there, which means having somebody that cooks for you and for your family, having somebody that gives you the time to rest, meaning that can attend to your baby or to older siblings. So while you maybe have a shower, try to take a nap. That can support you when you are struggling with breastfeeding. That can support you with light housework. Tidy up, using the vacuum, or it's or support you in ask for support. And that's super important.
We can do a whole podcast with just tips about how to ask for support. I think learning just that would make mom's life so much easier. I haven't met a single mom who was really good at asking for help and support for herself.
Guilty.
None, ever.
But I also love what you mentioned, Ombretta, about the past, because it's true. There was this saying, right, that like it takes a village to raise a child, and it still does. It still does. It's just that we don't have this village. And the way that you also described it, actually, if I would now for myself kind of try to see, what is the doula, what the doula does, is a little bit in the current society, what we live in the culture it's a little bit like putting a patch. I mean, it's like filling the gaps. So really helping, being those sisters, those mothers, those friends, those aunts, those women used to take care of each other in that process, and we still need that care. It's just that also what you just said, we don't really ask for it anymore. But that's indeed another topic for the podcast. So we have, we always, when we always finish the podcast, we always want to finish with a golden tip. So if there was that one thing that you would say, like, you would like to give it as a golden tip to all the moms that are out there, waiting for the baby to be born, what would that be? I didn't say it's going to be easy.
No, it's a golden tip, right? So I think I want to reconnect with what you, Nina, said about learning to ask for help. And I think it connects with learning to listen. Pregnancy is such a special and unique opportunity to actually be silent, because that's the only way you can really listen your own voice, because there are so many voices spinning around us as a woman all the time since we were actually little, and so many of the fears or the doubts of self-doubts we carry do not really come from us. Our voice is clear, is strong, is the voice we used to listen at when we were kids, is a voice that talks about freedom, is a voice that talks about happiness, joys, and talks really about possibilities and opportunities. And that voice has no doubts. So I would just invite women to connect with that voice and to let themselves be guided by it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Ombretta.
I managed to nail it. At least like 3 good endings in the podcast during the podcast. Huh?
Yeah. There's more than one golden tip in this one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Ombretta, if people want to reach you, understand more about what you do, all the different things that you do, but specifically you being a doula, how can they best reach you? Where can they best find you?
Oh, yeah. So I do have a website. It's called Doula Amsterdam. And that's the best way to reach me. Yeah. Unless you find me in a yoga class, but I would say, yeah, through my website, that's the best way.
Cool. Yeah. We'll put that definitely in the notes of the show so that everybody can find you there and can reach out to you via your website, learn more about what you do, all the different things that you do. Thanks so much again for this super inspiring conversation and episode. And for everybody else, make sure that you like, share, comment, tag your favorite moms to be, everybody who's there. Let us know how you like the podcast episode. Leave us a thumbs up. We'd love to hear from you. And we're looking forward to the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening to our Mamamoon Podcast. We would love to see you again, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes.
Also, for more information and to stay up to date, check our website Mamamoon.me and our Instagram and Facebook.